Good evening, everyone. Today's a regular council meeting for November the 20th of 2024. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're meeting on the traditional lands of Wassahoba First Nation, part of Mi'kmaq, ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Could we all rise for the singing of O Canada, please?
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our sons commend. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you very much, everyone. Item number 4, approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, I move that the agenda is moved. Item number 3, if there's any declarations of conflict of interest, please notify me, and I'll make sure that your name is recorded in the meeting minutes, and please step away from the table if so. Item number 6, approval of the minutes. You have in front of you the meeting minutes from October the 3rd and October the 3rd of the 2024 regular council meeting and October 30th of the 2024 special council meeting. Is there any errors or omissions? Motion on the floor to move by Councillor Nick Hilton, seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushing. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 7, no old business. Item number 8, new business. Recommendations from the Committee of the Whole. 8.1.1, Library Funding Review Committee update. You all have that in your package. Recommendation from the Committee of the Whole. What is council's wishes? Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham, you have the floor.
Right, I'll move that a letter be sent following the provincial election to the new Minister of Communities, Culture and Heritage, thanking them for the work of the Funding Review Committee, and indicate the municipality's expectation that 1 year's notice will be given regarding any new and or increased municipal funding.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse. Discussion on that motion. Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
So I think what we learned when questions being called, you have to vote on calling the question and then vote on the motion. Remember we learned that in Halifax. Just
Like I said, it's going to take me a while to remember all that. Item 8.1.2, request to pave Park Drive.
So Mr. Chair, if I could just.
Yes, Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just in terms of procedure, the motion was amended several times by Committee of the Whole, and so if it pleases Council, the only motion that needs to be tabled this evening is the final amended motion as approved by Committee of the Whole.
Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham, you have the floor.
Right, I'll move that the municipality district of Yarmouth have staff include the expiration. Oh, my apologies, hold on now. Yeah, no, that is it. The expiration of the cost for paving Park Drive, Sealand Avenue, and Lake Estate Court to be discussed during the 25-26 capital budget discussion.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Phil Mooney. Any discussion? Deputy Warden, your mic is still on. You have the floor.
No, other than, I guess my comment is that it's a great project, and those are the only two municipal roads, or three municipal roads that we actually own, and, lots of construction there, lots of residents looking for a better surfacing, so I think this is an excellent motion, and happy to have the support of council on this issue.
Any more discussion? There being no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.1.3, the CCBF renewal of the municipal funding agreement. Councillor Nick Hilton.
I'll move that the municipality and district of Yarmouth council accept the CCBF municipal funding agreement, or recommend that it be approved, and that the CAO and warden be authorized to sign it.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councillor Lauren Cushing. Discussion? Councillor Hilton, your mic's still on. You wish to speak? Okay, I got to make a little bit of a, I'm going to stop here just for a second. I'm going to ask the CEO for advice, because we had some training up in Halifax during the NSFM. So when a question is being called, I
So-
call for a seconder for,
That's right,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair. So what we understand from the training is that if a counselor wishes to cease debate on a motion and calls question, council has to agree to cease the debate. So there has to be a vote on calling the question, and then if that's agreed upon, then a vote on the motion.
okay, so a motion on the question first, and then
They
if
have-
council agrees, then it's off to the regular motion.
Right, what-
And if no question is being called, I would call out, there being no further discussion,
Call for a vote on the motion.
I'll
yeah.
call for a vote on the motion. All right, question being called by Councillor Daniel Muse. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. A motion on the question, so that means all discussion, council agrees that discussion or debate will end. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now, there being no further discussion on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Please bear with me, council. That's something new that I didn't know for my 16 years of being on council. I'm just trying to make sure that we follow all the proper procedures. Item 8.1.4, the PACE Administrative Program. Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham, you have the floor.
I'll move the municipality district of Yarmouth adopt the following amendments to the cost of living adjustment management policy C-286-22. And again, the Part 4 review is there in print.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse. I'm trying real hard not to say something else. Any discussion on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
So I think that's what you were calling for, Mr. Chair, and we skipped down to this one. So we do have to go back and get approval to sign that agreement, that piece of
Yeah.
agreement.
Okay, item 8.1.4, the PACE Administrative Program. We moved ahead one, so please go back to that in regards to the recommendation from the Committee of the Whole that the agreement or the services between Clean Nova Scotia Foundation and the municipality be approved and extended till March 31st, 2026. Moved by Councillor Phil Mooney. Do I have a seconder? seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.1.6, date of December regular council meeting. Turn on your mic, please, Councillor. Councillor Daniel Muse.
I make a motion that we hold our December meeting on December the 18th, starting at 6 o'clock, and that'll include the committee of the whole and the regular council meeting as well.
Okay, a motion on the floor by Councillor Muse. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.1.7, free transit backgrounder. You call in conflict? Please note in the meeting minutes that Councillor Nick Hilton declared a conflict. Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham.
Yeah, I'll move the municipality of District of Yarmouth send Premier Houston, MLA Claudia Chender, and MLA Zach Churchill a letter requesting their plan for transit services in rural Nova Scotia, specifically for the municipality of District of Yarmouth.
Excuse me, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. Discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Councillor Phil Mooney, you have the floor.
I'm just wondering, in light of the motion, since we don't have any transit service, what have we done as a municipality over the last several years to investigate or try to institute a transit service in our own area?
If my recollection from that question is, we did reach out to, is it King's Transit? Yeah, go ahead, Madam CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in 2019 or 20, King's Transit made a presentation to Municipal Council. Currently, King's Transit delivers service along the Annapolis Valley Corridor all the way to Weymouth. And there was an interest in making a connection all the way to Yarmouth. And so King's Transit made a presentation to Council, and Council directed me to reach out to my counterpart at the municipality of Clare to see if there was an interest, because in order to create the continuity, there would have to be interest on the part of the municipality of Clare as well as the District of Yarmouth. At that time, the Clare Council wasn't receiving any expectations from their citizens in terms of delivering the service. And so public transit wasn't actually on the last strategy. Given the housing crisis and the population targets in the province, I expect Council to want to talk more about public transit moving forward.
Yeah, that answers some of the question, but the only thing I was thinking is getting from Digby to Clare, and I know there's utility review board restrictions going from municipality to municipality or county to county, and if Clare Transit doesn't want to participate or doesn't think it's meets their needs, they can be an intervener when it comes to UARB. And maybe we should do some internal investigation after the first of the year. And I think when we're talking about transit service, I think we need a connector to Halifax, but also we need connections within the municipality itself. I know that's going to be quite expensive, and I know one of the parts of the platform, or one of the political parties, is talking about free transit, and I see the town of Yarmouth, after several years of painstakingly instituting or getting their transit up and going, they're going to be providing free transit as of the 1st of December on an ongoing basis. And transit is expensive. And when you're talking about an area the size of the municipality of Yarmouth, it's going to be quite a bit more expensive than it is in the town of Yarmouth with such a limited area. So I think we should do a little homework. I will support the motion, but after the first of the year, once we do the committee appointments and strategic plan, when we do that, I think maybe that should be part of the project, because that all interconnects with housing and everything else. And the interconnections are very important, so I will support the motion, but I think we have to do some in-house searching ourselves besides the King Transit option.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Counselor, in that regard, but we should also wait to see what our strategic plan over the next 4
That's right.
years is going to be, and that, if that's included in there, then that would be a
Yep.
catalyst to direct staff to start investigating this. It will be expensive.
Very. And I think, and I made that note with the strategic plan, just to see where that fits, or if that fits.
Yeah. So when we start working on the strategic plan, we'll see if that comes up, and,
Yep, I'm good with that.
all right. Since I see no more discussion on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Coming back, Counselor? Please note in the minutes, Counselor Nick Hilton returned to the table. Item 8.2, Committee Board Appointments. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to read the appointments into the record, Mr. Chair. Mariner Center Expansion Board, Nick Hilton, alternate Lauren Cushing. Mariner Center Management Authority Board, Lauren Cushing, Daniel Muse. Mariner Center Nominating Committee, John Cunningham, Phil Mooney. Regional Solid Waste, which is Waste Check, Lauren Cushing, Phil Mooney, John Cunningham, alternate. Western Counties Regional Library, Phil Mooney, John Cunningham, alternate. Western Region Enterprise Network Liaison and Oversight Committee, Nick Hilton, Jim Baxter, alternate. Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission, Lauren Cushing, Trevor Cunningham. Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association Board, Nick Hilton. Yarmouth County Solid Waste Management Authority, that's the waste park, the transfer station, Lauren Cushing, Phil Mooney, John Cunningham, alternate. Yarmouth International Airport Corporation, John Cunningham, Trevor Cunningham, alternate. Audit Committee, Trevor Cunningham, Jim Baxter. CAO Committee, the Warden, John Cunningham, the Deputy Warden, Trevor Cunningham, Elected Official, Lauren Cushing. Doctor Recruitment and Retention, Nick Hilton, alternate Phil Mooney. Regional Emergency Management Organization Executive Committee, the Warden, John Cunningham, Elected Official, Lauren Cushing. Heritage Advisory Committee, Nick Hilton, Phil Mooney. Joint Green Energy Committee, Jim Baxter, alternate Trevor Cunningham. Marketing Promotions and Levy Advisory Committee, the Warden, John Cunningham. Planning Advisory Committee, Daniel Muse, Jim Baxter, Lauren Cushing, Trevor Cunningham. Alternates, John Cunningham, Phil Mooney. Yarmouth Recreation Advisory Committee, Lauren Cushing, Daniel Muse, Trevor Cunningham. Alternates, Phil Mooney, John Cunningham. Accessibility Advisory Committee, Daniel Muse, Jim Baxter. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee, Jim Baxter, Nick Hilton. Yarmouth County Joint Police Advisory Committee, Nick Hilton, Daniel Muse.
Counselor Nick Hilton.
Thank you, through you to Madam CAO. Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission, we had 3 last time.
I think there might have been a provision for an alternate, Councillor Hilton, but I can double check on that and bring it back to council.
I know that Argyle had 3 and the town had 3, I'm just not sure why. It's fine either way, just let us know. If so, I can volunteer for that one.
Counselor Cushing?
Yes, and to continue on with Councillor Hilton said, our last Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission, there was Councillor Hilton, Councillor Cunningham, and myself on that Industrial Commission.
Okay, we'll get the CEO to check up on that and
Yeah.
bring it forward. If there's an error in that, then we'll, because there was 2 appointed and 1 alternate, it's the way that that's.
No, I think there was 3 of us, I believe.
You'd have to go back through the terms of reference. Deputy Warden?
Yeah, I'll move that Modi adopt the council and committee board members 2024 is circulated. Excuse me.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. And if there was an error in one of the appointments in regards to the Industrial Commission, the CEO will bring that back and we'll correct that at the next regular council meeting. Moving on, item number 9, correspondence for action, 9.1. Dangerous intersection, hard scratch, Greenville, in parentheses, Brooklyn. I can't remember who, it was Councillor Nick Hilton that received this email from a resident. It was from Samantha McNeil. It's all in your package. She writes here, "Hi Nick, I'm attaching a letter expressing my concern for the safety of the local intersection. As you may know, there was another serious, if not fatal, accident at the Hard Scratch Road today. This intersection has been proven to be dangerous and more needs to be done to protect our residents. Thank you for your time." Who went up? Councillor Daniel Muse.
I would make a motion that we forward a letter on to Don Houston looking into this matter. This is not a matter that's new. This was actually 20 years ago when I was on council. This came up as well. And Don came and talked to us, and they have an oversized stop sign. They put a flashing light. The visibility is great. Coming from northwest, from Tuscan area, it's not the house in the way you can't see, but I think maybe we should write a letter to Don requesting to look into it further. Maybe suggestions of putting some rumble strips coming off the Hard Scratch Road. You have to stop. You can't fix inattentiveness, and I think, I travel that intersection 4 to 5 times a day, and there's a lot of confusion in there, but I think maybe a letter to Don Houston and the DOT just to consider reinvestigating that and maybe putting rumble strips is my suggestion. I'm not really sure what else they can do. I know in the letter it says a roundabout, but I believe a roundabout is major money. So that would be my suggestion.
So are you making that a motion, Councillor? And if you are, please repeat it clearly. So you're asking to send a letter. I wouldn't point out a name.
Okay.
Sending out a letter to the Department Transportation Infrastructure Renewal, that's who they're called now, to do some more investigating on that intersection?
Yes.
Okay, so motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? I'll second that. Seconded by Councillor Phil Mooney. Discussion, Councillor Daniel Allen, I did it again. It's going to take, they always say it takes you 7 times to get over a habit. My apologies, Councillor Muse. Once again, maybe I should have a cheat sheet out there. No, not a cheat sheet. Maybe money always costs, and if I have like a jar here, maybe make a donation. Discussion on the motion on the floor. Councillor Phil Mooney.
Yeah, and I've had several concerns about the same area as well, but how often do we meet with the Department of Transportation or Infrastructure Renewal? Do we meet with them on other matters? Pardon me?
Madam CEO?
So the intention of the previous council was to do it quarterly. That fell by the wayside. There were attempts to certainly have a regular conversation. What we have been able to do is have conversations on specific files, and they've been very open and attentive. So I think we've been using a combination of open meetings with them, and then as well as negotiations for certain projects. I would like to just add to the conversation, if I could, Mr. Chair, the traffic study that some of the new councillors probably need to be provided because of this file. So there was a traffic study done to take a look at the viability and the feasibility of an interchange at the Greenville overpass. And one of the intersections that was studied was this intersection in question. And I was surprised to see the correspondence because the traffic analysts did not raise a safety concern based on the volume or the speed of traffic. That doesn't mean it's not real. And so it's good to hear from the residents, because if the lived experience is different than what data analysis shows us, then it's good to know.
And,
You still have the floor, Councilor.
yeah, and Mr. Chair, I had the experience over the last month and a half or 2 months going door to door, and most of the issues I had were Department of Infrastructure renewal highway related. I think about 90 to 95% of all the questions I had were devoted to highway questions. So maybe if we get a meeting with those guys after as soon as they can make it, talk about this situation, but also I'd like to talk about their 5-year plan, see where we fit in that, see what they're doing, to get an overview of what's going on, and then maybe we could have some suggestions in there. I don't know, that would be pretty well set in stone, but just to get an overview as a council of what they're planning to do in this area over the next little bit.
Mr. Chair, after the motion on the floor is dealt with, could we have a motion from Councilor Mooney to that effect?
Yeah, that's, to make sure that that doesn't fall by the wayside, Councilor Mooney, as soon as the motion, we're done discussing the motion on the floor, I'd suggest that you make that a motion that
Okay.
directs staff to set up a meeting with Transportation Infrastructure Renewal
Okay.
in regards to the 5-year plan.
Yep.
That's
And
probably the best way
I'll
around it.
wait for the discussion on this motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilor Lauren Cushing.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Councillor Muse made a great comment about putting rumble strips there, and I think that would certainly help. But I've also seen, yes, they have a flashing red light overhead, but where did I see that at? Anyway, on the stop signs, if they had a red light, a flashing red light there too, right? Just to help people pay attention, because really the problem is people are not paying attention when they're driving, and they just go through it, right? So that's unfortunate, but anyway, so I certainly will support his motion and Councillor Mooney's motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Deputy Warden.
Yeah, just to add to the conversations, my recollection that when the report came to us, it did outline some proposed changes in that the stop sign would be reversed, and the stop sign would in fact, or may in fact be changed to the Greenville Road, and the throughway, because of the volume of traffic, would be the hard scratch. So that's my recollection. I believe that's accurate, but I wouldn't attest to it. So there are some pieces. So I think the CO was wise in suggesting that be recirculated, given the terrible misfortune that the letter addresses. So in any event, I guess those are my comments, and I mean, it may be even wise to hold this over till the next council meeting, until we have an opportunity to get that information and ruminate on that a little bit, and then but again, I'm not opposed to the motion. I think it's reasonable, but there may be something additional to add, or we could just add this addition. We could add an additional piece, have it on the agenda next time, and address another thing perhaps at that time.
Seeing no more lights and no more discussion. Oh, Councilor Nick Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And first, I just want to recognize the loss of life that happened on November the 5th that brought this to light. And I believe her first name was Helen. And our sincere sympathies to the family. And want to say that this isn't new. I know in the past that the owner of the house on the corner used to have a sheet of plywood with all the dates and times of dates of the accidents, and it's quite lengthy. So to Councilor Muse's point, even a starting point of rumble strips would be a success, and we do need to meet with, we're going with Department of Transportation or Public Works or whatever they go by now, to start that conversation and make sure that we kind of carry those concerns forward. And could we add to the motion, amend the motion to include a letter back to Samantha saying that we are taking some action on that as well?
So you're making an amendment to a motion to include Samantha in the correspondence?
Or a message to her that we're taking action on it. I'm good with either one. Yeah, include her on the, that will work for me. Yeah.
Okay, an amendment to the main motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Phil Mooney. Discussion on the amendment? Councillor Jim Baxter.
I just have to say I'm in agreement with the council that this intersection is a dangerous intersection and we need to do something about it. It's been proven over the years that there's an issue there now. I'm also of the belief that we probably need to do some investigating before we take an action to create anything, but we do need to find out what's going on there. I have a grandson who's just a couple houses off that intersection.
Discussion on the amendment, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Back to the main motion. I have one thing to add on there. The night that we were all sworn in, my mom was sitting there at the restaurant parking lot when we were about ready to get sworn in. I was going to pick her up because she didn't wanted to make sure she had enough parking, or was afraid that there wasn't enough parking at the Brooklyn Hall. And the first thing out of her mouth when she stepped in my vehicle was, "Nobody stops at the stop signs." That was the first thing out of her mouth. She said something's going to happen there, and lo and behold, we have another issue. But I also want to remind council that this is a provincial matter. We don't own the intersection, we don't own the road, but we can certainly advocate on behalf of the residents. Deputy Warden?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just it's not really a really important matter, but it is currently the Department of Public Works. So it's no longer infrastructure renewal. Public Works. So we should just, in the motion, when it's read out for the last time, we should just change the wording to the correct departmental wording.
Is it not transportation and infrastructure renewal?
Used to be. Public Works and Transportation.
Too many acronyms, too many changes. Councillor Musin mentioned that it was called DOT, so. Still be highways. Seeing no more discussion on the motion on the floor, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously, and I stand corrected.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Councillor.
I'll make a motion that we ask the Department of Public Works for a meeting on their 5-year capital plan.
Motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. You still have the floor, Councillor Mooney.
I'm good.
Discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 9.1.2, Valley and District Volunteer Fire Department loan application. Councillor Phil Mooney.
Sorry, CAO, since I lost the motion that was drafted. Do you have a copy of that? Or do you want me to try to get one? I can make one.
You are the professional.
Oh, yeah, I'm something else, yeah. I'd like to make a motion to request a loan on behalf of Valley and District Volunteer Fire Department of $130,000 under the Volunteer Emergency Service Providers Capital Loan Policy. That'd be number V-108-19, and this funding will be utilized to acquire a refurbished tanker engine, which will replace a current tanker, a 1989 model. So I'll make a motion that that be referred to staff to come back with a recommendation.
We have a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse.
Is that good enough?
It's your motion.
Okay.
Discussion, Councillor Mooney, you still have the floor.
No, I'm good. I'd like to thank staff for the quick turnaround on that. We had Jack Sparrow, we had the Fire Chief, Jeff Richardson, in here the end of last week, and we had a very good discussion with the Director of Finance, and he's going to crunch some numbers, so they already have a start on that process. So I'd like to thank the CAO and the Director of Finance for some of the work they've already put into the project.
Seeing no more discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, moving on, item 9.2. For information, you have a grant report from the Forest Glen Community Center from 2024, and also the high school redevelopment open house information session. Councillor Mooney.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. For clarification, do we ask to turn over the request to the next fiscal year?
In regards to,
The Forest Glen Community Center asking for a grant.
no, go ahead, Madam CEO.
Yep, sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the grants policy requires every grant recipient to file a report with council prior to applying in the subsequent fiscal year. So this is the filing of that report and an indication that they will make an application in the coming year. And so they will work with our Community and Economic Development Officer to get that application filed for council's review.
Good, thank you.
More or less to let you know where the money went and how they made out on their project and stuff like that. That's what they're for. You'll see a lot of those come up throughout your terms. Okay, item number 10, reports. Item 10.1, the CAO's report. Madam CEO, would
Thank
you
you,
wish to
Mr.
speak
Chair.
to that?
I do, because it's the first CAO report that our new councilors have seen. So I guess what I'd like to say first is, this is a quarterly report. They are not always this long. So what makes it a quarterly report primarily is the action item register on the current strategic plan. Council will always see the motions of council in their status. Council will always see the income statement. And council can expect to see moving forward a summary of the status on the capital projects. But because I just presented on that at Committee of the Whole, I didn't drop that into the report. And then my cover page is usually just kind of like an executive summary on the highlights. And so it's been busy with the election and certainly a lot of major research projects underway that will help inform the next several years for the municipality. Item number 3 in the executive summary is the one-time tax rebate, Mr. Chair. Those are just very, very simple information pieces. 600 applications received, 540 checks issued. There is a report being prepared for council that will go into more detail about the types of reasons why somebody didn't qualify, information about the resources that were allocated to the administration of the program, and maybe just some qualitative information back in terms of what staff heard and observed about the project. As everybody's aware, we are in full swing for construction on accessibility improvements. We're working to get a date in place for council and the Accessibility Advisory Committee to have a site visit at the Rotary Center. They're at a stage in their construction where it's appropriate for those charged with governance to have a peek at it. And then the Audit Committee is set to meet tomorrow, and they'll be receiving the consolidated and non-consolidated financial statements, and will be making a recommendation to council for approval of the March 31, 2024 financials.
Any questions or comments for CEO? Deputy Warden?
Just a couple comments on the CAO's report. Like to highlight certainly that, in it, we've recently been able to fund some potential work at the Yarmouth Curling Club, along with the other 2 units in the area, so that's very, very positive. And a little bit of a disappointment, of course, the funding envelope for the Mariner Center expansion could only be so big. It's a huge project, almost $40 million, so that's underway. My understanding is they're putting some fencing up, so it's a great day for Yarmouth County and all of our residents, so that is happening, so that's fantastic. And again, folks that came in this evening, the accessibility renovations are taking place at the Rotary Center and beginning here at this building and elsewhere. So anyway, those are, I guess, all a testament to the efforts of the previous council, and I'm looking forward to even bigger and better things with the group sitting around the table now. So thank you, staff, and thank you to our collaborating units in province and feds, and it's excellent news.
Councillor Lauren Cushing.
I'd like to make a motion to we accept the CAO's report as presented.
Okay, motion on the floor, seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse. One thing I want to point out before I call for the question on the motion, something that people don't realize that are watching online, this report is available to you online. Also in there, for reference to the new councillors sitting around the table, you'll see the CAO outlines all the motions that were made by council and the status on those, whether they've been moved to regular council to be decided upon, or you can see in there on September the 16th, the Rotary Center Tender Award, and she noted in there that construction has started, so that's a good way to find out on the motions that you made, like Councillor Phil Mooney made a motion in regards to TIR, Department of Public Works. So that motion will be showing up in this report, and the CEO will give a status on where it's at, whether if she's reached out, if she's received a response, and so you can follow up. So if you forgot that you made a motion over the terms, you can certainly refer back to this. And this is also available online to anyone in the public that is watching. Seeing no more discussion on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Next one, Warden's report. Typically, I have no set directive on the way that I deliver these. Sometimes I'll do a written report and sometimes I'll do a verbal report. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a verbal report. First and foremost, congratulations to each and every one of you sitting around the table representing the residents of the municipality of Yarmouth. We recently had our council orientation, and something that I really liked that we did is at the end of our orientation, we all ended up going to the Greenville Community Center for the harvest supper that they held there. It's great that we as a council show up to different community events and stuff like that, and something that I'm going to do over the next little bit that I have never done is if there's a community event or something that I know of that's going on, I'm going to have that in the warden's remarks, whether it's written or it's verbal, because it's important that we go and support all the different community groups that make our communities function. And I'd like to thank council and staff, even though we didn't all go there at one time. There was a group of 3 or 4 of us that went there early. I know that Councillor Daniel Muse was actually serving, and Councillor Nick Hilton showed up a little bit later, but it was great to see, and thank you, staff, for coming out and joining us there. It's a good way to make us a little bit more visible in the communities. Be prepared. There's lots of them going on. Carleton, Port Maitland, Melbourne, they happen everywhere. It's important that we support the residents and the community groups, and also just to make sure that we're there and we will be able to hear their concerns. There's also a lot of things that's happened over the past month. One thing that I attended, and it was also attended by some of you councilors, the Sports Heritage Foundation. They had their banquet. It's biannually, or every 2 years. Every 2 years. Councillor Phil Mooney was there, and Councillor Hilton was there. I didn't take note of who was there, but I do remember that your brother was teasing you quite a bit, Councillor Mooney, as per usual. Made a snide remark about the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I'll let that slide this time. We are there to induct them into the Hall of Fame. The girls' baseball team from 2021, under 12 provincial champs, the world champion powerlifter, Melissa Stone, the 2006 Yarmouth Clippers under 16 boys soccer provincial champions, Dave McDougall and Paul Dowsett for stick curling, Ann Mosier McVilder in builder category for women's basketball. She played actually for Team Nova Scotia in the Canada Games in 67 and 71, if I remember correctly. It was really,
Top 100 of all time.
Yeah, she's-
University basketball player.
yeah, and that's something that's very interesting. So she's still quite spry. Had a good chat with her, and I didn't realize that there's been that much around the community. I was amazed. Something that I should also mention is Dumping Day. Dumping Day on the 25th is coming up, tentatively scheduled for 6 o'clock departure, weather permitting. Typically, the municipality council either goes to the wharves in their communities, or you can go out to Cape for Shoe. That's something that I always look forward to. It's always well attended out there. It happens at 6 o'clock. Please bring your flashlights and your jackets, because it's usually windy. If you don't think it's windy out in the county, when you come to Cape for Shoe, it's windy. It's also a great sight to see all the boats and all the lights and all the people there who bring flashlights and shining it towards the boats, and just wishing them a farewell and a safe trip, hoping for low winds and high catches this year. So just remember, Madam CEO, would like to speak to that? Go ahead.
I would. So usually, dumping day plans change, and so just want to point out to everybody that if you'd like to take part at Cape for Shoe, be watching our social media and our website, because if there's a change to the go time, we'll be posting it there and letting everybody know. So it might not be Monday at 6 a.m., it could be something different.
Actually, from my understanding, it could be Sunday, the day before.
Depends on the wind, I think.
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday or a week down the road. So I just wanted to point that out. Best of luck to all the fishers that enjoy going out in some of this weather when it's not so good. I shouldn't say that they enjoy it, but at least they go out. Our hearts and prayers are certainly with you, and hoping for a successful season. As you all know, we just been all appointed to different committees and of council and stuff like that. I had the opportunity last night to attend the Mariner Center Board meeting. I do attend, even though I'm not a voting member on some of these committees. I still take every opportunity I can to attend and try to keep myself informed. And I also wanted to point out that soon there's going to be, council will be making citizen appointments to all these different committees when the person's or citizens' terms end. And I really like everyone that has an interest in, whether it be sports or heritage or DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, to please put your name forward, and maybe you could be sitting on one of those committees. I could go on. There's a lot of things that's happening and going on, but also there's another event that's coming up that I'm not sure that I can attend yet, and I'll have to let council know you may have to attend on my behalf, and that's the firefighters banquet on this Saturday. I'm trying to get some time allotted for that. So there's a lot of different things coming up, and I'm certainly not opposed, if I can't make it, to certainly have another council member coming forward and representing the municipality. So that's my report. There's no motion required to accept my report.
Could we just add one, sorry, Councilor.
Yeah, go
And
ahead.
just one more community announcement, Mr. Warden, is
Go right
the
ahead.
annual tree lighting, hay rides and cookies and hot chocolate on December 6th at 6:30, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, that was in here and I missed that.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Plus, the night of the Sports Hall of Fame, you might not be allowed to go back into Carlton Outfitters if you don't mention that our good friend and the world's greatest Yankee fan, Wayne Hurlburt, got Baseball Person of the Year.
That's right. You saved my bacon there. I'll see Wayne there probably at the counter tomorrow, and he'll probably, if he watches this, he'll make a dig. I can sure that's coming. Thank you very much for that, Counselor. So that's my report. I don't know if Council wants me to elaborate on more, or if there's something that you'd like to see in my report, please certainly reach out to me, and I'll do what I can. But something that I think is important, as I mentioned earlier, is the community events and stuff. I think that's something that we should be putting a little bit more focus in getting out to as many of them to get our faces out there to the community as possible. Councillor Cushing.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Going back to the firefighters banquet that's coming up on when, Saturday?
Saturday at 6 o'clock.
Saturday, 6 o'clock. I had the privilege to go one year where our warden couldn't make it, and if he can't make it this year, I would certainly advise or ask any of the other councillors if they'd like to take his spot to go to attend it, because it's there's a lot to it, and I was surprised about the amount of training that our firefighters do to make sure that we are protected. So it was a very nice event, and I was very appreciative to be able to have the chance to go there and attend that banquet. It was, so if the warden can't make it, I won't be asking because I've already been there, but, you know, I would, you know, suggest that you offer to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. There's always something going on, that's for sure. So that's my report. Moving on to item 10.3, reports from legal entities. There hasn't been a lot of activity. There may be some of them that's met, and usually what you'll see is sometimes there's meeting minutes that are attached to each of the items from Mariner Center all the way down to the 9 different items right to the end of the Western Regional Enterprise Network, and sometimes council would like to do a verbal report. So if there's any verbal reports, please move forward. Councillor Nick Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I kind of can't remember where the old council ends and the new one begins, but in regards to the Mariner Center expansion, I know you're all aware, and hope the community is aware that we've approved the tender and have already started to break ground on the new facility. So that's a major success for our community. It'll be the first building we build in almost 25 years together. And that was only made possible because we worked together as a region to make that come to make that happen. So congratulations to all of you. I know times have changed, and we're now worried a little bit more around cost of living, but when we ran the first time, that was one of the biggest issues at the table, that Yarmouth didn't have a pool after the YMCA closed. So making steps in the right direction, and we'll get that building up, and then we'll focus on some new goals.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any more verbal reports there? Item 10.4, advisory committees. Seeing none. Ad hoc. None there. Public comments. No one signed up for public comments. All right, moving on to item 12. I'd like to entertain a motion to take a 5-minute recess. Moved by Councillor Nick Hilton, seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse for a 5-minute recess before we go into camera. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone.